What spooky things might you find in Duskmourn Commander? Let me fill you in on a bit of what to expect in the decks and where to find the previews. Good morning, Magic. I'm Gavin Verhey from Wizards of the Coast, and I'm sure you've been following along with all the spooky Duskmourn House of Horror goodness in the main set. Let's dig into the Commander decks. We've got 4 decks this time around, and they're not all previewed on the same day this time, so be sure to watch for the dates. Up first is a wild one, Miracle Worker, a deck featuring Aminatou, enchantments, and the Miracle mechanic. You'll set up the top of your library and slam big enchantments down on the battlefield. It's a pretty fresh take on an enchantment deck. You'll be able to find this one previewed on Tuesday, September 10th, over on the weekly MTG livestream. Don't miss it. Next up, I hope you enjoy playing with the Graveyard because we've got a Delirium deck featuring Winter with Death Toll. This deck wants to get Delirium and hold on to it, bringing stuff back from the graveyard over and over again. You'll be able to find this deck previewed over on the Command Zone a couple days later on Thursday, September 12th. Another deck you'll find on September 12th is Endless Punishment. This red-black group slug deck wants to make all of your opponents take damage. Truly a fun way to play the villain. And speaking of villains, it's headed up by Valgavoth itself. Spooky. But not perhaps as spooky as the person previewing it. Just kidding, love him. It's Pleasant Kenobi, so go over there and check it out. What about the 4th deck? Well, like any good jump scare, they can come when you least expect it. So the green-blue deck featuring Manifest Dread, called Jump Scare, jumped ahead of the line. It was previewed over on Infrequentes last Saturday, and you can go ahead and check it out now. All of these decks have new cards, reprints, and also something we haven't seen in a while, Arch Enemy. Each deck features a mix of 10 schemes, such as Time Bends to My Will, and even something Commander-focused like My Champion Stands Supreme. This is a fun way to play Commander like you probably never have before. 3 heroes take on 1 villain, and anybody can be the villain, but I do recommend Valgavoth for the hard mode ultimate experience. I particularly like in Arch Enemy that nobody is ever knocked out and has to wait. The Arch Enemy rules change for this release so that the heroes have 1 shared life total. Either they win or they all lose. And, well, shuffle up and play again. A nice little touch so you don't have the problem where 1 player dies early and the rest all play the rest of the game for an hour or 2. Anyway, you aren't really here to hear me talk about Arch Enemy, but it is awesome, so go check it out. Now, you no doubt want to hear what some of the hints are for these Commander decks. So okay, it's time. We have 13 hints for Duskmourn Commander, and these are hints only about the new cards in the deck, and none of them are for cards in the blue-green deck. That one's already revealed, after all. Ready? Alright, time to spill. Hint number 1. There is a legend that grants all of your enchantments a specific keyword. Hint number 2. There is a card with Miracle that mirrors a 7-mana sorcery. Hint number 3. There is a card with an ability that begins, you may cast spells from the top of your library by, and you'll have to figure out the rest. Hint number 4. There is a card that makes you choose between the modes Believe or Doubt. Hint number 5. There is a black creature with Miracle. Hint number 6. There is a card that has an ability which begins whenever you cast a spell, if the amount of mana spent to cast it was less than its mana value, and yeah, you'll have to figure out what the rest is there too. Hint number 7. There is a card called Sadistic Shell Game that begins starting with the next opponent in turn order, ... Hint number 8. There is a new Kindred card that has Changeling. Hint number 9. There is a card named Seance Board. Hint number 10. There is a card that begins with all creatures get -X/-X until end of turn, where X is what? Hint number 11. There is a new room that has a similar effect to a popular hybrid enchantment. Hint number 12. There is a card with the ability each spell you cast that's a demon, horror, or nightmare costs 1 less to cast. And finally, hint number 13. There is a card that combines 2 alpha enchantments together. Now, those are all the hints about the new cards, but we're not quite done yet. One thing we've started doing more of is refacing reprint cards in the deck lists with new art. So I want to play a little game and show you 4 art pieces, and you can guess which reprint cards they go to. Post your guesses in the comments and prove you're right before anybody else. Here's the first piece. It's got Amanatu looking at some orbs. Stunning piece though. I bet you all can probably get this one as it calls back to some other ones like it, right? Let's go on to something a little trickier. Here's the second piece. Okay, this is harder. There's a big glowing thing and a bunch of people. It certainly doesn't look like they're all having a good time though. Here's the third one. Spooky. I don't want to be visited in the night by whatever is going on here. Though with this card effect, maybe I do. Anyway, enough about that. Let's move on to number 4. Aww, what a cutie. Cute teddy bear, so much cuddly fur. Let's just ignore the person in its arms that is definitely sleeping. Yes, sleeping. All right, and that's a little look at what to expect from Duskmourn Commander. Be sure to tune in on the 10th and 12th for the 3 deck reveals, and I can't wait to hear what you think is happening with these hints. I'll talk with you again soon, and until then, have fun speculating, everybody. You got this. After you finish this video, of course. The champions of the Invitational include some of the all-time greats of Magic, including John Finkel and Kai Buddha. They went on to make Shadow Mage Infiltrator and Void Mage Prodigy, respectively, as their Invitational cards. But those cards weren't always that way. For their respective Invitational